stop everything. What I am about to show you happened in the last 24 hours, and it exposes a credibility crisis between world leaders while hundreds of lives hang in the balance. Iran's top prosecutor, Mohammad Movahedi, just called President Trump's execution claims completely false. Completely false, not disputed, not questioned. False. Here is exactly what Trump claimed yesterday. I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday. Would have been dead, every one of them, mostly young men. He said he told Iranian officials, if you hang those people, you are going to be hit harder than you have ever been hit. An hour before this horrible event, they canceled it. 837 specific lives. Trump says he saved them all with a single threat. Iran says none of this happened. This claim is completely false. No such number exists, nor has the judiciary made any such decision. We do not take instructions from foreign powers. So who is lying about life and death? The President of the United States or the Islamic Republic of Iran? One government is fabricating a story about executions, while the other maintains complete denial. Subscribe right now, because when this explodes internationally, you will see it here first. This contradiction cannot hold. Someone is about to be exposed as either desperately lying about saving lives or ruthlessly denying they spared any. The stakes could not be higher. 837 people may be alive or dead based on which government is telling the truth about what happened last Thursday. But before we can understand who is lying about these executions, you need to see the scale of death Iran has already unleashed. The numbers I am about to give you will make clear why 837 more lives matter so desperately. According to the U.S.-based human rights activist news agency, 5,002 protesters have been confirmed killed in Iran's crackdown. 5,002 human beings are dead. Let me break down exactly who died. 4,716 demonstrators, 203 government-affiliated personnel, 43 children, 40 civilians not even participating in protests. But those are just the confirmed deaths. Here is what sources close to Iranian medical networks are telling me. A network of Iranian doctors estimates at least 16,500 to 18,000 people have been killed, 330,000 injured, 26,800 detained and awaiting trial. Think about those numbers for a moment. If the lower estimate is correct, Iran killed more protesters in 2 weeks than Americans died in the entire Iraq War. If the higher estimate is accurate, this is approaching the scale of a genocide. Now, let me tell you how they died. This was not crowd control gone wrong. According to sources inside Iran's Supreme National Security Council, these killings were carried out on direct orders from Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. The council authorized live fire in what intelligence analysts describe as a deliberate, organized operation, exceptional in scale and intensity. Here are the weapons Iranian security forces used against protesters: shotguns loaded with birdshot and buckshot designed to cause maximum tissue damage. Military rifles firing live ammunition directly into crowds. Heavy DSHK machine guns typically mounted on vehicles and used in warfare. Doctors treating the wounded report that security forces were shooting to kill, not disperse. The medical evidence is devastating. Emergency room physicians describe wounds consistent with execution-style shootings. Headshots, chest shots aimed at vital organs. Security forces were hunting protesters like they were enemy combatants in a war zone. But it gets worse. Iranian security forces have been conducting systematic raids on hospitals to arrest and execute wounded protesters. Think about that. They are hunting people in hospital beds. Wounded protesters being dragged from emergency rooms to face immediate execution. These hospital raids violate every international law governing medical neutrality. Doctors are being forced to choose between treating patients and protecting them from arrest. Some medical staff have been detained for refusing to surrender patient information. The 26,800 people currently detained are facing what Iran calls fast trials leading to death sentences. Fast trials, that means no real defense, no due process, no appeals, just state-sanctioned murder with a judicial stamp. Iran's judiciary has processed detention cases at a rate of over 1,000 per day. That is not justice. That is an assembly line for executions. Legal observers describe proceedings lasting minutes, not hours. This is the context Trump claims he interrupted. 837 people were supposedly 1 hour away from joining this death count when his threat allegedly stopped their executions. Iran imposed a near-total internet shutdown on January 8th, dropping connectivity to about 2% of normal levels. Why? To hide the executions and prevent the world from seeing the bodies. Families cannot communicate. International observers are cut off. The killings happen in digital darkness. Satellite imagery shows mass grave sites being prepared outside major Iranian cities. Construction equipment working around the clock. Freshly disturbed earth in patterns consistent with burial preparations for thousands of bodies. Subscribe now because the next revelation will show you exactly what Trump claims he said to stop these hangings. Hit that like button if you are starting to understand why this credibility crisis matters when so many lives hang in the balance. This is not just about who is lying. This is about whether Trump actually has the power to command foreign courts or whether Iran is so desperate to appear independent that they will deny saving lives just to reject American influence. Now, let me show you exactly what Trump claims happened when he allegedly saved 837 lives. The specificity of his story is either proof of an extraordinary diplomatic intervention or evidence of a fabricated narrative designed to claim credit for something that never occurred. Here are Trump's exact words from his public statement yesterday. Quote, "I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday, would have been dead, every one of them, mostly young men. I told them, if you hang those people, you are going to be hit harder than you have ever been hit. An hour before this horrible event, they canceled it," end quote. Notice the precision. 837, not 800, not approximately 850, 837 exactly. This level of specificity suggests either detailed intelligence about Iranian judicial proceedings or a number chosen for credibility that actually undermines it. But Trump did not stop there. He described the mechanism of his intervention in remarkable detail. According to his account, he communicated directly with Iranian officials, not through diplomatic channels, not through intermediaries. He personally delivered the threat that allegedly halted the executions. Here's what he claims he told them. Quote, "If you hang those people, you are going to be hit harder than you have ever been hit." End quote. This is not diplomatic language. This is the language of ultimatum backed by military force. The timeline Trump provides is equally specific. An hour before this horrible event, they canceled it. 1 hour. He is claiming that Iranian judicial authorities, who had prepared 837 executions, received his threat and reversed their decision within 60 minutes. Think about what this means operationally. Iran would have needed to contact execution facilities across the country. Guards would have been stood down. Families would have been notified. Judicial records would have been updated. All within 1 hour of a phone call from Donald Trump. But here is where Trump's story becomes even more extraordinary. He claims this happened on Thursday, January 21st. That means while Iran was processing over 1,000 detention cases per day through their fast trial system, they allegedly paused everything to accommodate an American president's demand. The military context matters here. Trump had just announced that a United States armada was heading toward Iran. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group was repositioning in the Indian Ocean. American troops were being evacuated from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. This was not just a diplomatic conversation. This was a threat backed by overwhelming military force approaching Iranian waters. Subscribe right now because what I am about to show you next will reveal how Iran responded to these claims and why their denial creates a constitutional crisis about executive power. Hit that like button because the algorithm needs to see that people care about the truth when lives are on the line. Now, here is what makes Trump's story either remarkable or suspicious. No international monitoring organization has confirmed these executions were scheduled. Human Rights Watch has not reported on 837 specific cases. Amnesty International has not verified this number. The United Nations has not documented this execution list. Trump claims exclusive knowledge of Iranian judicial proceedings that apparently no human rights organization possessed. Either American intelligence capabilities inside Iran's judicial system are far more advanced than anyone believed, or Trump is claiming credit for something that exists only in his imagination. The communication method raises additional questions. How did Trump contact Iranian officials directly? The United States has no formal diplomatic relations with Iran. There is no direct phone line between the White House and Iranian authorities. Any communication would typically flow through Swiss intermediaries who represent American interests in Tehran. But Trump describes this as a direct conversation. I told them. Not I had our representatives tell them. Not I conveyed through diplomatic channels. I told them. This suggests either a secret communication method or a conversation that never happened. The weapons Trump referenced in his threat are also significant. You are going to be hit harder than you have ever been hit. Iran has been hit by devastating sanctions. Iran has been hit by targeted assassinations of military leaders. Iran has been hit by cyber attacks on nuclear facilities. For Trump's threat to mean something, he would have been promising military action that exceeds everything Iran has experienced. Given the approaching American armada, Iranian officials would have understood this as a threat of immediate military strikes. not future sanctions, not diplomatic pressure. Immediate kinetic action that would kill Iranian officials and destroy Iranian infrastructure. The timing of Trump's announcement also raises questions about political motivation. He made these claims during a period of intense scrutiny over his Iran policy. Critics were questioning whether his maximum pressure campaign was actually working. Suddenly, he produces evidence of unprecedented success, saving hundreds of lives with a single phone call. This fits a pattern in Trump's foreign policy claims. He has previously announced victories that could not be independently verified. He claimed to have prevented wars that intelligence agencies said were never planned. He announced deals that other governments later denied existed. Now he claims to have stopped executions that Iran says were never scheduled. But here is what makes this claim different. Lives are involved. If Trump is lying, 837 real people may still face execution while he claims credit for saving them. If Iran is lying, they are denying humanitarian mercy to appear politically independent. Either way, the truth matters more than diplomatic face-saving. The precision of Trump's number 837 suggests access to specific intelligence. Iranian judicial proceedings are not transparent. Execution schedules are state secrets. For Trump to know exactly how many people were scheduled to die, American intelligence would need sources inside Iran's judicial system or electronic surveillance of court proceedings. This creates a counterintelligence problem. If Trump's claims are accurate, he has just revealed to Iran that the United States has unprecedented access to their most sensitive judicial information. Iranian security services will now investigate how Americans obtained execution schedules. Sources will be arrested. Surveillance methods will be exposed. Intelligence professionals call this burning your assets. You only reveal this level of penetration for the most critical national security purposes. Did Trump expose American intelligence capabilities just to claim credit for a humanitarian victory? If so, future intelligence gathering becomes much harder. But if Trump's claims are false, he has created a different problem. American credibility in crisis negotiations depends on other governments believing presidential threats are real. When Trump threatens consequences, adversaries must believe he will follow through. If Iran concludes that Trump fabricates threats and outcomes, his deterrent power collapses. The White House has doubled down on Trump's story. An unnamed White House official disputed Iran's denial and insisted the executions were canceled because of presidential pressure. This official claimed direct knowledge of the communication and confirmed the timeline Trump described. But this official remains unnamed and unverified. No documentation has been provided, no intelligence assessment has been declassified, no diplomatic cable has been released. The White House is asking Americans to trust a story that Iran categorically denies and that no independent organization can confirm. Here is what we know happened next. Within 24 hours of Trump's claims, Iran's top prosecutor categorically denied the entire story. But before we examine Iran's rebuttal, you need to understand why Trump would risk his credibility on such a specific and verifiable claim. Now, let me show you exactly how Iran destroyed Trump's narrative point by point. Their response was not diplomatic hedging or careful language. It was a systematic demolition of every aspect of Trump's claims, delivered with the precision of a government that knows the truth and is willing to stake its credibility on that knowledge. Iran's top prosecutor, Mohammad Movahedi, held a press conference 24 hours after Trump's announcement. Here are his exact words. Quote, "This claim is completely false. No such number exists, nor has the judiciary made any such decision. We have a separation of powers. The responsibilities of each institution are clearly defined, and we do not, under any circumstances, take instructions from foreign powers." End quote. Notice what Movahedi did not say. He did not claim the executions were postponed for other reasons. He did not argue about the timing or the communication method. He said no such number exists. That means Iran is claiming there were never 837 people scheduled for execution on Thursday. But Movahedi went further. He attacked Trump personally with language that diplomats rarely use in public statements. Quote, "This individual is irrational and arrogant." End quote. These are not words chosen accidentally. Iranian officials typically use formal diplomatic language even when rejecting American positions. Calling a sitting American president irrational and arrogant represents a deliberate escalation. The timing of Iran's response reveals something important about their confidence. They could have taken days to investigate Trump's claims. They could have consulted with judicial authorities to verify execution schedules. Instead, they responded within 24 hours with absolute certainty. Either Iran's judicial system is so centralized that the prosecutor general knows every execution schedule immediately, or they knew Trump's claims were false because the events he described never happened. Iran's constitutional argument deserves careful analysis. Movahedi emphasized separation of powers and institutional independence. In Iran's system, the judiciary operates under supreme leader guidance but maintains operational autonomy. For Iranian officials to cancel executions based on American threats would require direct orders from Ali Khamenei himself. Think about what this means politically for Iran. If Trump's story were true, it would mean Iran's supreme leader bowed to American pressure to save lives. In a regime that bases its legitimacy on resistance to American imperialism, this would be devastating. Khamenei would appear weak. The judicial system would appear subordinate to foreign threats. But Iran did not just deny Trump's specific claims. They went on offense about the broader principle. Quote, "We do not, under any circumstances, take instructions from foreign powers," end quote. This is Iran asserting absolute judicial sovereignty against what they see as American attempts to control their internal affairs. The language Movahedi used suggests Iran views Trump's claims as more than diplomatic theater. They see this as an attack on their constitutional system. By claiming to command Iranian courts, Trump is essentially arguing that American threats can override Iranian law. Iran's response suggests they view this as intolerable interference. Here is where Iran's denial becomes either courageous or catastrophic. If Trump's story is true, Iran just chose political independence over saving 837 lives. They would rather appear strong than admit American pressure worked. That level of political calculation would be breathtaking in its callousness. But if Iran's denial is accurate, then Trump fabricated a story about saving lives while real executions continue. Iranian officials would be justified in their outrage. A foreign president would be taking credit for humanitarian intervention that never occurred while people actually die. Iran's judicial system has continued operating exactly as before Trump's alleged intervention. Fast trials are proceeding. Death sentences are being issued. Executions are being carried out. If Trump's threat was supposed to create lasting change, no evidence suggests it worked beyond the 837 cases he claims to have saved. Subscribe right now, because what I am about to show you reveals the constitutional crisis this creates for American foreign policy. Hit that like button because the algorithm needs to understand that people care when governments lie about life and death. Iran also challenged the operational aspects of Trump's story. How did he contact Iranian officials directly? Through what channels? The prosecutor general oversees Iran's judicial system, but reports to the supreme leader, not to foreign governments. For Trump to reach decision-makers about executions, he would need access to Iran's highest levels of government. Iran maintains that no such communication occurred. No phone calls, no messages through intermediaries, no diplomatic contacts about execution schedules. They are not just denying Trump's threats worked. They are denying the conversations ever happened. This creates a verification problem that goes beyond normal diplomatic disputes. Usually, when governments disagree about what was said, there are communication records, phone logs, diplomatic cables, meeting notes. But Trump claims direct contact that bypassed normal channels. Iran claims no contact occurred at all. The internet shutdown Iran imposed makes independent verification almost impossible. International observers cannot monitor judicial proceedings. Human rights organizations cannot track execution schedules. Families cannot communicate about detained relatives. Iran has created an information blackout that prevents outside confirmation of either government's story. But Iran's shutdown also undermines their own position. If they want to prove Trump wrong about execution schedules, transparency would help their case. Instead, they have created conditions where neither Trump's claims nor their denials can be independently verified. Iranian officials have also attacked Trump's broader credibility on Iran issues. They point to his previous claims about preventing Iranian attacks that intelligence agencies said were never planned. They note his announcements of diplomatic breakthroughs that other governments later denied. Pattern recognition suggests either Trump consistently exaggerates his Iran successes or Iran consistently lies about American diplomatic victories. Now let me show you what happens next. This credibility crisis between Trump and Iran is not just diplomatic theater. The implications cascade through American foreign policy, Iranian domestic politics, and the fate of 26,800 people who remain in detention while their governments argue about the truth. If Trump is lying about saving 837 lives, his credibility in Middle East negotiations collapses. Think about what this means practically. When the next crisis erupts, when American presidents threaten consequences to prevent atrocities, adversaries will remember that Trump fabricated a story about stopping executions. They will conclude that American threats are performance, not policy. This matters immediately in Iran. Trump claims his threats work, but if Iranian officials believe he lies about diplomatic victories, his deterrent power evaporates. Why would Iran modify its behavior based on threats from a president who allegedly invents humanitarian successes? Future American warnings become background noise. But consider the alternative scenario. If Iran is lying and Trump actually did save 837 lives, then Iran just chose political independence over human mercy. They would rather appear strong than admit American pressure worked. This level of callousness would confirm everything critics say about the regime's priorities. Either way, the 26,800 detained protesters pay the price. If Trump lied, they face execution while he claims credit for saving others. If Iran lied, they face execution while their government denies American intervention that might have helped them. These people become pawns in a credibility war between governments. The timeline for resolution is critical. Iranian fast trials are processing over 1,000 cases per day. At this rate, all detained protesters will face judgment within 3 weeks. If executions resume at scale, the truth about Trump's claims becomes irrelevant. The people he claims to have saved will be dead regardless of who was lying. This connects to a broader pattern in Trump's foreign policy. He has claimed credit for preventing North Korean nuclear tests that intelligence agencies said were never planned. He announced trade deals with China that Beijing later denied existed. He declared victory over ISIS while military commanders said the mission continued. Now he claims to have stopped executions that Iran says were never scheduled. Pattern recognition suggests either Trump consistently exaggerates his diplomatic achievements or every adversary systematically lies about his successes. Both possibilities damage American credibility, but in different ways. If Trump fabricates victories, allies lose confidence in American intelligence assessments. When the United States claims to know about enemy plans, partners will question whether the intelligence is real or politically motivated. This makes coalition building harder and intelligence sharing riskier. If adversaries systematically lie about American diplomatic successes, it suggests they fear admitting Trump's effectiveness. This might seem like a victory, but it creates operational problems. If Iran never acknowledges when American pressure works, how can American officials know when their threats are effective? You cannot calibrate diplomacy when the other side never admits you influence them. Subscribe right now because what I am about to show you exposes the moral stakes when 26,000 people await execution while governments dispute the truth. Hit that like button because people need to see how political theater affects real lives. Other authoritarian regimes are watching this exchange carefully.